Hey guys, today we're going to learn about solving for equations. When solving an equation, we're trying to figure out what an unknown number is. And in this case, it's called the variable. It can be represented by any letter. It does not have to be just x, like our first example is 3x minus 4 equals 5. It could be 3y minus 4 equals 5. Whatever the letter is, that is what we're trying to solve for. Now, to solve for equations, we need to know about opposite operations. Add and subtract are opposites, and multiply and divide are opposites. Last year, you practiced a lot of PEMDAS, order of operations. Well, to solve for a missing number in an equation, we are going to have to do PEMDAS backwards. So, let's look at the first one. We have 3x minus 4 equals 5. And we're going to draw a picture of what this equation looks like using algebra tiles. And down here at the bottom we have a key. X is represented by these rectangles. So let's draw 3 x's. These are not base 10 blocks. So there's 3x, and then we're going to draw minus 4. So we're going to use the little squares with the minus signs. Equals 5, and 5 is positive. This is how we can look at an equation in a picture form. Now we're going to solve this equation using actual algebra tiles first, and then I'm going to show you how the work should be done. So here's our algebra tiles. The 3 x's, they're green, they're positive. They just don't have an x on them. And then minus 4 are red for negative, and then the 5 yellow blocks, that's positive 5. And we want to solve for this to figure out what 1x is equal to. So we're going to have to work with this left side over here and try to get the x's by themselves. Now I see a minus 4 here, and to get rid of a minus 4, we need it to equal 0. And so in order to do that, we're going to add a plus 4 to this. Negative 4 plus 4 equals 0. So adding 4 over here cancels that minus 4 out. Now whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we're going to add 4 to the right side as well. Since we canceled out the minus 4, we can get rid of those algebra tiles. So now we're left with 3x equals 9. And remember, the yellow squares mean positive. Now we're trying to figure out what does 1x equal. Well, if 3x's equal 9, 1x, if you look straight across, equals 3. And the next x equals 3. And the next one equals 3 again. So x equals 3. Let's go back to the work and see how that plays out. We're going to make sure that we get an answer of x equals 3. So 3x minus 4 equals 5. Remember how earlier I said that we had to add 4 to cancel that out to 0? We're going to do the same thing here. Now I drew a line at the equal sign. That helps me know whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other. So our goal is to get x by itself. And I see a minus 4, so we are going to add 4 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 4, that cancels out to 0. 5 plus 4 is 9. 3x equals 9. If you remember with the algebra tiles, we had 3 rectangles on one side and then 9 pieces on the other side. And I tried to get us to where we could single out just one x, and then across from one x were those three smaller squares. In doing that, that is division. So we are going to divide by 3 on both sides, because remember, our goal is to get x by itself. 3 divided by 3, that cancels out to 1. And so now we have x is equal to 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, let's try another one. When solving, the first thing that we are going to do is add or subtract. Remember, this is the opposite of PEMDAS. And then the second step I want us to do will be to either multiply or divide. Remember, whatever we see, we do the opposite of. Add or subtract first, multiply or divide second. I'm going to draw a line at the equal sign. So adding or subtracting first, I see a minus 5, and so the opposite of minus 5 is plus 5. We're going to do that to both sides. Negative 5 plus 5, that cancels out to 0. So now we have p over negative 2 equals 7 plus 5 is 12. Now when you see a fraction, all that means is division. But the opposite of divide is to multiply. So we're going to multiply by negative 2 to cancel this out. When you do the opposite operation, divide by negative 2, multiply by negative 2, that cancels out to 1. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. So we're left with p equals 12 times negative 2. Well, 12 times 2 is 24, and the signs are different, positive and negative, so this is a negative 24. So I'm going to plot my answer right before the negative 25, and this is p. Let's see, x earlier was 3. Okay, let's try another one. 3/5 r plus 8 equals negative 10. Now, if that fraction confuses you, you can always change this to a decimal. If you want to do Philo, first in, last out. 5 goes into 3, it doesn't go into 3, so we add a 0 and a decimal, make that 30. 5 goes into 30 6 times, and 5 times 6 is 30. So this is now 0.6 r plus 8 equals negative 10. Now I see a plus 8 that we could get rid of. The opposite of add is subtract. Positive 8 minus 8, that cancels out to 0. And we must do the same to the other side. So now we have 0.6 r equals, now here I'm noticing the signs are the same, and we're dealing with some subtraction here, a negative minus another number. Since the signs are the same, we're really going to think of it as addition. So negative 10 plus negative 8, that would be negative 18. Now 0.6r, when the number and the letter are right next to each other, that means multiply. So the opposite of multiply is divide. When we divide by the same number, that just equals 1. But we need to take this negative 18 and divide it by 0.6. So 18 divided by 0.6. Remember, there can't ever be a decimal on the outside, so we must move it over to make it a whole number. That means we need to move the decimal over on the inside, so that's now 180. 6 goes into 18 3 times. 6 times 3 is 18, with 0 left over. Now this last 0 just needs to come straight up, so this is a 30. R is equal to, now this was a negative divided by a positive. Signs are different, so our answer is negative. r is equal to negative 30. Alright, let's try the next one. Now, y'all are used to seeing the letter on the left side. This whole time the variable has been on the left side. This time the variable is on the right side, and it does not make a difference when we're solving. We can still do this. If it makes you uncomfortable, you can flip it around, but I'm going to show y'all how we can solve just like this. So remember, add or subtract goes first. I see a negative 10 here. We're going to have to get rid of that negative 10 first. We don't want to get rid of the 4 because this part right here is multiplication when it's right next to the letter. So we are going to do the opposite and add 10 to both sides. Negative plus a positive, that cancels out to 0. So that's gone. 6 plus 10 is 16. Equals, and I want to rewrite this 4a. Now remember 4a, when they're right next to each other, that means multiply. So the opposite is to divide by 4 on both sides. Remember, our goal is to get the letter by itself, and we did that. The 4's cancel out. 4 divided by 4 is 1. So now all we're left with is a equals 16 divided by 4 is 4. So let's find that on the number line. 4 is right here, and that is the letter A. Now, I'm going to show you how we can check our answer. I haven't showed you this yet. 4 is supposed to be equal to A. So if we plug this in up here, put a 4 for this A, we would do 4 times 4, which is 16, plus a negative 10, or 16 minus 10, and that is equal to 6, and so that's how we know we are correct. Alright, let's practice one more. So I'm going to draw my line at the equal sign. Remember, our goal is to get the letter or the variable by itself. Remember, this is opposite from PEMDAS, so we are going to add or subtract first. Well, this fraction means division, so we have to leave it alone right now. This 5 is being added to that fraction, so we can get rid of the 5 and it's positive, so we can subtract 5 on both sides. 5 minus 5, that cancels out to 0. 1 minus 5, so let's just look at the number line. Here's 1, and so if we subtract 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I went to the left because that's subtracting. 1 minus 5 gets us to negative 4, because then the next number would be negative 5. So 1 minus 5 is negative 4. And then now we have y over 3 on the right side. Remember, fractions mean division, so the opposite of divide is to multiply. A lot of people would want to try to do 3 times 3 to get 9. Do not do that. We are multiplying and we are dividing. These are the opposite, so they cancel out to 1. And we have a y left over here equals, and since we multiply by 3 on the right side, let's multiply by 3 on the left. Negative 4 times 3, a negative times a positive, the signs are different, so our answer is negative 12. Okay, let's check and see if we got the right answer. Let's plug negative 12 in for y. So negative 12 divided by 3, that's negative 4. And then if we do negative 4 plus 5, so starting at that negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that does equal 1, so we know we are correct. Okay guys, we practice solving for equations. Y'all learned today that solving equations has to be the opposite of PEMDAS. We're working it backwards, so either add or subtract first and then multiply or divide. Remember our opposite operations, addition and subtraction, multiply and divide. And then when we're solving, I like to draw the line at the equal sign because that helps us know whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. Thanks for watching.